6th of March, and wherever you are in the world, I hope you're staying COVID safe and being kind to all those around you. I am doing something that I don't know if anybody else around the world has tried to do yet. I'm sure they probably have, maybe I am the first. But what I am about to do is I am about to effectively do a back-to-back comparison between Gran Turismo Sport and Gran Turismo 7. Now, for any of you people that play the Gran Turismo game, you will have no doubt been witness to all of the noise, all of the comments, all of the feedback around Gran Turismo 7 and the difference between it and Gran Turismo Sport. Overall, I believe it's mainly negative, and I believe it's negative for a few reasons. One is because there are a lot of great things in Gran Turismo Sport that at the moment have not been continued on into Gran Turismo 7. Secondly, there have been lots of glitches with gameplay, and I'm not telling any secrets there. I think we're up to version update 1.08 or 1.09, and the game was released, I believe, on the 4th of March. So in the space of 22 days, or just over 3 weeks, they have had to do 9 updates to address some issues, and there are still issues, so it hasn't yet been resolved. And then I think the final thing is the actual experience, and that falls under a few different categories. And I have done a couple of videos and a longer video about a review of Gran Turismo 7, so I won't go into too much detail. But effectively, what appears to be the main cause of angst for most experienced players from the Gran Turismo franchise, and particularly GTSPORT, and particularly for those driving steering wheels, and maybe even just those driving Logitech wheels, is the difference in the driving experience itself. And the negatives around that I've personally experienced are that the steering sensitivity and steering feel are just not there. And to highlight that, I used to run Gran Turismo Sport with sensitivity on 5 and feedback on 5. Even in Gran Turismo 7, I'm running sensitivity at 10 and feedback at 10, and I don't get anywhere near a similar level of feedback. The second point is that braking and even accelerator feel seem quite numb and unresponsive. And then the final thing is the steering itself. As I said, there's virtually no feedback when a car begins to lose traction, particularly at the rear. The slide happens before you even know, and when you go to correct it, even applying 90% of steering in the opposing direction to the slide, as you would normally do, and as quickly as you can do it, for me, 99% of the time isn't catching. And then when you actually do manage to catch it and you bring the steering wheel back, again, you're not able to do so quickly enough to ensure you don't have a counter steer scenario, or a tank slapper, as is often referred to. And that, again, I think is because there is absolutely this very big dead end or a delay in the response on the steering. So what I thought I'd do this morning is I have loaded Gran Turismo Sport. That's what we're looking at on the screen right now, and it's loading. I'm going to put my wheel on in a second so it'll catch up. I don't need any PlayStation command. So now my wheel is on, and it's loading, and I just want to show you that this is definitely Gran Turismo Sport, and the way that I can do that best is to go and look at the profile settings, if you like. So if I go into here and I go to options and you see my profile, You can see there that I have $271 million. I can absolutely assure you I haven't accumulated anywhere near that in Gran Turismo 7. You can see that I've got 2,900 liveries. You can see that I've got a whole stack of photos. You can see what my driver rating is. You can see what level that I'm at. And that clearly indicates that I'm not in Gran Turismo 7, but in fact I'm in Gran Turismo Sport. And you can see days logged on 1,028. Obviously I probably should have only talked about that statistic, because no possible way for me to have amassed 1,028 days in Gran Turismo 7. So I'm definitely in here, and so what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a track just for myself so that I don't get any interference, which I've got to do now. Now if you get some blue screens, please stay with me and I'll keep you informed with audio. But I'm going to be creating a lobby. Create a new room, as it's called in the game, and I'll load an existing room, and then that'll save some time. But then I will that one there is probably the best one to load, because that's the track that I want to use. So I'm going to use a track that, as far as I have seen in the time that I've driven on Gran Turismo 7, is exactly the same track. It does not appear to be any different. Whereas some of the tracks have had some modifications done. Now I can't make it less than 2, but what I can do is make that, and I can also, I'm just going to do a few things to effectively eliminate people coming in. Make it friends only as well. And I'm going to make it practice race. That's fine, I don't have a problem with that. I'm going to try and mimic the conditions as much as I can. So I'm going to go for 12:30 cloudy. Doesn't really matter how many laps, because I'm not planning on doing a race. But what I do need to do is make sure that all of these settings are as close as possible to what I'm going to set up in Gran Turismo 7. So no mechanical damage, no fuel, no tyre wear. The grip is going to be real. Race delay doesn't matter. Filter by category. Now I'm going to run this Camaro at about 700 horsepower, because I'm pretty sure I can get 700 horsepower in the exact same Camaro. You'll see it'll have the exact same livery as well. The wheels will be slightly different, because in the transition the wheels have changed. And Racing Soft is going to be the maximum tyre that you can run, because there is no Racing Super Soft in Gran Turismo. Now what I'm also going to do, let me check the rest of these settings. Ghosting during racing, I'll just turn that off. The rest of that doesn't matter. Flag rules don't matter. You'll see I've got all the driver aids turned off here, which I'll also do in Gran Turismo 7, because I only ever run ABS weak anyway. So that can stay the same. So I think the track is ready to go. And then what I'll be doing, I'll create the room. I should probably renamed it. I probably should have said do not enter. Anyway, it's firing up. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in, select the Camaro, and then I'm going to detune it down to 700 horsepower. I'm going to default everything in the settings. And what I'm hoping is that those default settings, and I will take some screenshots too, so that I can actually refer to the setup of the Camaro in this game for the setup in Gran Turismo 7. So what I'm trying to do is get everything as precisely compatible or parallel in both games, so that we do get an accurate representation of the difference in the game. So Chevrolet, and it's going to be... I know what I need to do. I need to go to all, because I've already detuned the room in terms of the amount of settings. So now in here the Camaro will run in 1000 until I detune it. So let me just scroll down to Chevrolet. Here we go. And I am looking for my That's very interesting that I cannot see my Camaro that I have in the new game. That one I have in the new game, that one I have in the new game. I do not understand why I cannot see the particular Camaro that I want to use, which is I think my first ZLE livery that I did. This is most bizarre. Well, that's okay. Why don't we do this, just for the sake of being transparent, and I don't know why I'm not seeing my Camaro come up here. This is a really odd occurrence. It should be here. I didn't delete it, I didn't overwrite it, so it should be here. But for the sake of us getting a visual similarity as well, I'm going to grab this Camaro, because it's the ZLE, ZL1, 1LE I should say. I'm sorry to all the Chevrolet fans out there, and to Chevrolet themselves. I always call it the ZLE, I'm trying to save on syllables. So I'm going to go in and I'm going to detune it, as I said, down to it's 700. Hopefully I can get it to 700. 702. You know what I'm thinking is, if I put this to 100% maybe, does that work? I obviously want to have total parity, and that's 1500. So let's go with 1600. As I said, I can only have racing softs in GT7, so let's do that. I'm going to restore the defaults. Actually, before I do that, what I should really be doing is changing the sheet if it lets me. But it's not letting me. Alright, change of plan. Then I have to exit the room, don't I? Okay, I haven't thought this very well out, obviously, because I've done this as a bit of a spontaneous thing. So, alright, I'm just going to have to deal with this as best that I can. So what I'm going to do is restore the defaults on all settings, which means I won't be used to how the car performs, but that's okay. So you can see, and I'm going to take a screenshot once I do this, or several screenshots, so I can manual transmission, that's fine. So I'm going to take a screenshot now of the settings, and the idea is that when I go into Gran Turismo 7, and I apologise if you're getting blue screen right now, but I have to do this, I'm afraid, and that way I can make sure that what I do in, excuse me, I'm going to take 3 screenshots obviously. Take a screenshot there, and then one more and we're done, to get the gearbox and the diff in there. Oops, error, my bad. No. Thank you, that's not what I wanted. Anyway, I should have that now all saved. Sorry folks, I apologise. Just again getting re-familiar with the thing. So now what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to drive some laps, and what I'm going to be attempting to do is do laps as fast as I can. And so just let me put the controller down and go to my wheel. Now I'm running the Logitech G923 wheel, if I didn't say so earlier. And what I'm going to attempt to do is, 7 laps. And the goal is to 227 in 4th gear. Interesting. see what lap times I can put down, basically. Bit of sliding going on there. Now I guess I just talk a bit about the things that I've been experiencing with Gran Turismo 7. The first thing, as I said, is steering feel, and automatically already I can feel that the steering is more direct. I am getting a lot of understeer, but that's the settings. And again, the propensity for the car to slide at this horsepower setting feels far less than what I was experiencing in Gran Turismo 7. But again, we'll wait and see what happens in Gran Turismo 7. This corner in particular in Gran Turismo 7 was an issue for the car. I'm getting quite a lot of understeer with this setup, but that's okay, it's the standard setup. Now, I also want to say that I'm certainly not a super duper driver in the game. I'm not an S or an A plus or whatever the rating is above A plus, if there is one between S and A plus. I did achieve an A plus at one point doing the daily races. I don't do them anymore because there's too many people that go in there and don't respect you and just punt you off. So my rating dropped down to a B. I thought that's enough, so I've stopped. I don't really do them anymore. I might do the odd one every 6 months, but that's it. So we hit 331 then, so that's... car is quite skatey in this setup, but that's okay. Gradually be putting more pedal pressure down earlier on out of corners, so I want to see how the car reacts. So I just stomped on it then without the front wheels being straight, i.e. oh, so a little bit. Hopefully by the next lap I've gotten used to the different behavioural characteristics of the setup on this car in this game. It'll be interesting too if I'm just having a look at the buildings and all of the scenery around the track. It'll be interesting to see on the same screen, running the same PS4 with Gran Turismo 7, whether the graphics are clearly better. This is the first time I've jumped back into GTSPORT since I got GT7, which I got on the 6th of March, not on the release date. Same. Tell you what, under this setting, the rear brakes like to play into things, that's for sure. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see what the graphics difference is. And again, I stomped on it then without without the car being in a straight line in there as well. And you saw the car kept traction. There's no slide or no sound of the tyres protesting. And again, I've put my foot firmly down. You can see the white bar on the right. That's showing you the throttle application pressure. So that's in there. Oops. That's my bad for playing around with the throttle. Big oversteer there, but you can see I was able to control it. What you can't see is you can't see steering input as such. It'd be nice if they could show you that on the screen actually, but yeah, I had to do quite a lot of opposite lock then, but I was able to easily catch it because the wheel was telling me that the rear end was sliding. I could feel the resistance in the wheel. So we're about to start lap 4, I guess. And we're down to 2:01. Obviously the car's performance shouldn't change from lap to lap. It's just going to be me as the variation in terms of the consistency of the lap times. So again, that's not good, and I was able to catch it. So I expect I'll be behind on the first sector now. Yeah, my 3/10s touching the wall didn't help. I'm surprised at the amount of understeer I am getting with this setup. Oh, there you go, there's some oversteer to counterbalance it. Of course, it's not good either because it's costing me time. I suspect I just lost another 3 to 4 tenths. Oh, no, I didn't actually. That's interesting. I'm going back to 4th here because I'm trying to see what the throttle input difference makes. So far under hard throttle, and I'm holding it flat through there, the rear end is sticking. So even though I'm getting oversteer through these slower corners and the elevation change, in those corners mid-lap, where I'm either stomping on the throttle without the front wheels being straight, which would cause the inertia to, you know, help to make the rear end step out. At the moment it's holding very steady, so it'll be very interesting to see under the same setup in Gran Turismo 7 whether we experience the same thing. Okay, so we've gone a bit faster then, so we've grabbed 1.1 seconds. So I'll be interested to see whether I can improve on it in the next 2 laps. It's actually good to see the car behaving like that through that turn 1 section, because it'll be a good comparison to Gran Turismo 7 should the car behave the same way under braking, under this default braking setup, which is neutral. So there's no bias based on the settings between the front and the rears. I normally do run a bias towards the front, just for the sake of people understanding, which basically means more of the brake power is being exerted at the front of the car, except rather than the rear, I should say. Of course, if you know anything about cars, I don't need to explain that to you, so it's more for people that aren't quite aware. So I'm keeping my foot on it there. Can't keep my foot on it there because I'm going to understeer into the wall. But you can see that I'm getting lots of wheel noise, I'm getting lots of sliding. Even there I've got a bit of a 4-wheel slide going, but it's all very controllable. In Gran Turismo 7 I would be cursing by now after 5 laps into this exercise, and I'm pretty sure I'm going to be when we do get into Gran Turismo 7. But again, let's see. may not be the case. So we come up to lap 6. We're now put ourselves under the 2-minute mark, and I'm guessing that for these last 2 laps the time will be fairly consistent. I'm trying to limit the rear end braking so I don't get the slide, but yeah, that was probably a bit better. I think the other thing that I should, sorry, my bad, as I was about to say, is that because the car is behaving itself, I'm actually able to push, if that makes sense. Whereas in Gran Turismo 7, what I've been finding is you've got a delay and you've got to be very circumspect about how aggressive you are. And that ultimately affects lap time, pace. I think I may be behind. Oh no, I'm up. Still not really what I'd call in tune with this setup, and that probably explains the fact that each lap is getting quicker. But this is the final lap I'm going to do. I think 7 laps is enough for us to be able to gauge the difference between the two. I'm going to screenshot the room settings. Oh shit, I'm going to hit the wall because I'm too busy talking. And brake. Alright, we might do an extra lap because that was my bad, not focusing on what I'm doing. So I'll do another lap because I do want to try and get the best lap time that I can, and I feel like I'm still not yet doing that. Even then, just then I was full throttle on the gear change, and the rear end was stable as. Again, you know, I haven't lifted there at all. I have to lift here, I doesn't want to touch the wall. I didn't want to, but the car was understeering. I'll try 3rd gear through here, see what it's like. Again, bumped the pedal pretty hard, but it didn't oversteer. I don't know whether I made up any time. I might have made up some from the error at turn 1 and turn 2, but no, I didn't. Maybe going through the corners in those higher gears was what caused that. Alright, let's make this the final lap and I'll just concentrate. That's pretty close. 1/1000th off the best time, or improved. Oops, that wasn't good. Yeah, I don't think it likes that higher gear. It seems to encourage more understeer with the setting, so yep, we're up on time, if that's to be believed. help. Just upset my steering turning when I bumped the wall. And again. That's what I thought was going to happen. I think it's fair to say there's definitely a faster lap time in it. I haven't done what I would call good laps at all. Been very untidy, made lots of errors. But for the purpose of this exercise, we've done 8 laps, and we've done a 59.862. We'll screenshot that for the sake of prosperity and for the sake of this, whoops, exercise we're doing. I'm going to also do is screenshot the screen setting, the room settings, once that audio message gets out of the road. So we'll go to race settings and view the track settings, and we'll take some screenshots as well. Sorry for any blue screens that are appearing, folks, but I'm just trying to capture all the data, and I just pushed the wrong button. Send a message. Sorry, folks. Yes, I don't want to do that at all. I'll just take the last screenshot so we have it all. We don't want to do that, so I've got them all. Okay, so now what's going to happen is I'm going to end the broadcast, and I will create a new broadcast in a couple of minutes, as long as it takes me to take my Gran Turismo Sport player or game disc out of my PS4 and then load my Gran Turismo 7 and fire the game up, and then I will start another broadcast, and I will reference the screenshots I've just taken to both set up the track as closely as possible to what we just have had here, and also then to make sure that my Firestone Camaro ZL1LE is also tuned exactly the same, or as close as I can get it, to be able to do a back-to-back comparison. So thank you very much for watching, and you'll be able to see a new broadcast in, I hope, in about 5 minutes, where we will do the second part of this back-to-back comparison. Thanks everyone, appreciate your attendance. Please put in comments, please subscribe. Obviously more subscribers gives me more encouragement to keep making further broadcasts, but please, yeah, welcome your comments as well. Thanks everyone, stay safe, and see you soon for part 2.